Hey, it's Mikey.
Miss Nightmare here.
I'm Isaac.
And we're going to do a commentary for the Yogi Bear and the Magical Flight of the Spruce Goose review that the two of us did last year and she helped us out with.
Yeah, because pretty much if you've not seen Isaac or my crossover, it led right into these two here.
Yeah. So, play.
Oh, that sound effect.
Alright.
To me.
So, this is the first. We filmed all the outdoor stuff first.
Yeah.
The idea for this started, well, first he contacted me, he's like, hey, you want to do a crossover at Magfest? I'm like, sure, got anything? And I actually had owned Yogi Bear for like a year.
Yeah.
And I'd never actually watched it. I just had it and figured, maybe I'll watch it eventually. So it's like, hey, you want to do this? It's got a funny name to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm filming the outdoor stuff because like the outdoor stuff led into the very first end of the first one of our crossover. And I did like the bad Sailor Moon sound effect, so I'm like, yeah, I'm switching that in my video. So.
Alright.
This, of course, this is my intro.
This is his intro, which I decided that, you know what, if it's going to be me editing it, I'm going to have a little more fun with it. Because it says produced and edited by Isaac. No, I'm the one editing it this time, damn it. And I wasn't going to use his I Would Never Use, so I just dubbed in it's a song called Kickflip, which is in the iMovie archive.
Of course you use iMovie archive.
So yeah, I use that song a lot. If you've seen other videos I've done, you will hear that song pop up a lot of times.
Yeah.
That title card was done by Vega. Thanks a lot, Vega.
Yogi Bear and the Magical Flight of the Spruce Goose.
So she's at this point sitting off the side of the room, just looking at the two of us.
Yeah. And actually, I have seen this movie. I barely remember it, and it was okay, kind of boring.
It was weird. It had some interesting visuals at some points. But
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was getting into. I just owned them when I watched it for the first time, so I was like, this movie is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Though I do like the fact that they do tell you what the heck a Spruce Goose is at the beginning, because otherwise I was going to be confused.
Well, if you think of Spruce Goose, you're just thinking very fancy goose in a top hat with a monocle.
not a plane. Which it was.
Yep.
He claims everything is true.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this bit.
This part, anytime I've ever shown it to everyone, they all told me they had the exact same thought, which is, it closes immediately. So, like, how does anybody else get out?
Yeah. The room that the mic goes in is my hotel room. Because
we filmed our crossover and these two's crossover in back-to-back in the same room, just to get them all out of the way on Saturday morning.
It took 4.5 hours right before the Nerf war, like an hour before the Nerf war. That was so much.
I remember with the closing time gag, in the blooper reel for it, there's an alternate, which I couldn't use because he knocks on the door, and then a housekeeper down the hall knocks on knocks on a different door. So it's like, I'm still out here. Knock, knock, knock. Yeah, we can't do that one.
It's like an echo.
And of course these guys.
These guys, when we were scripting it, I offhandedly joked, oh look, it's the ancestors of Rockman and Julia Jetson's characters. And he's like, oh my god, it is.
No,
and
they might as well be.
Yeah, this is like a blam moment, because they appear here, they don't ever appear ever again. It's just kind of nonsense.
They do. I didn't show it in the review. They show up 3 times through it.
Really?
And pretty much every time they say the same joke, which is this part. Yeah, so they like, let's invade New Jersey. And then they go to like some, I think not the South, I think it was actually the South Pole place where Yogi was saying like, we shall invade from the South Pole because there's no humans there. And then Yogi's plane flies by, let's invade New Jersey. And then they go to I think it was the tropical island towards the end of the movie.
Wow.
And they're like, okay, that's it. This is our last attempt. We're gonna invade from this place because it's the remote island nobody lives at. And then Yogi's plane flies by, and like, okay, we're not gonna. Okay, Earth is too well protected. We cannot invade this place.
Yeah.
And this was an exact moment where I actually said that offhand, and then Puchov says the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, I did walk on the end.
That's your job. How this thing managed to stay on.
And why is there a pipe on the side of the wing?
else is causing the noise, which means
All right.
the case of the mysterious
Now-
sound shall continue.
Bernice. There's many questions about Bernice as a character in this movie, just for the simple fact of how did she get here? Why did nobody know she was missing?
Yeah.
Or what her mother is thinking.
Just makes no
Also, where'd you
sense.
get the baseball bat from? Now that I think about it.
Yeah. Well, so apparently she came from a baseball game before going to the museum. She's wearing baseball attire. So
Would
she's
they even allow it in? Well, then again, this
No.
was...
Well, yeah, it's the Yogi Bear universe, but they could allow anything in, even talking animals.
Eventually reaches the South Pole, and of the trapped animals that can't reach the ocean.
Yogi's plan to free the animals is to cut through the ice using the brute force of
I remember, I think he had a different plan originally, and then because he has magical plane, he's like, you know what, let's just destroy the ice of the Antarctic, and that will save the animals.
Somehow.
So Yogi Bear caused.
Yogi Bear caused global warming.
Yeah, pretty much so.
the Spruce Goose.
Also, we should have let the penguins die. It's just part of
Now
the
there's
course of
another
their
scene
life.
we cut out for the sharks.
Well, yeah, there's an extended sequence where sharks attack Yogi Bear because he's trying to save some other animals, and then he falls and he's just like hanging after it. And so, but it did not feel like it actually really mattered all that much to anything related to it. So we ultimately decided to just skip over that entire segment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who makes a boat like this? I agree with you guys in your review. They should have tied it on the railings, not like that.
Congrats! You just placed those animals in even more immediate danger. Why didn't you tie the rope to the handle on the top
I
of the
actually
ship?
remember that originally the idea was for me to actually show the clip in of the handles, except I could not get a decent shot of them for long enough for it.
Right.
So, but you can figure it out just from what he says. So
The guide says that the Spruce
now,
Goose should have
and I'll,
doors on the
cause,
front.
but for this part, I managed to just freeze frame it for while he's talking for the Bernice's part.
Yeah.
And now for this part, I remember it's like this long thing of what we don't have the cargo doors, but if we believe in the cargo doors, maybe. And
Anything
so,
is possible.
because if anything is possible, we believe in it. And so Yogi addresses the audience, and so our response to this was the exact kind of thought I had.
I never had that when I watched that movie, and it's reminded me of the Care Bears movie, the one with the dark heart, I believe. It's like how the Care Bears want you to just say "I care" just to get one of the characters back to life.
I'm not sure if that's supposed to be right.
Now, about this segment, the DVD I'm holding up is Yogis Gang. Yogis Arc was the pilot episode of it, and it is included on that DVD, even
Yeah.
we just didn't mention it.
Yeah, you tossed it on. I was in a 2-bedroom hotel room, so he tossed it onto the bed. I think there was a time where it bounced from the bed onto the floor.
Didn't it break open to...
Yes.
The DVD I had taken out beforehand, and the case itself is fine. Nothing actually happened to it.
No.
So yeah, I actually have never actually. No, I've seen like maybe 10 seconds of that Yogis Arc movie just put on TV once, but I actually really don't know anything about it otherwise.
Yeah.
It's just I should probably watch it at some point.
Yeah, I just realized they put skunks on the island. Skunks aren't going to survive on the island if it's that tropical.
Only in a cartoon they can.
Yeah.
And now finally, we're about 2/3 of the movie. We finally get our villains, Dread Baron and Mumbly.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get Dick Dastardly for whack of this. Mumbly is actually a character who was in previous things, but he
Yeah.
apparently was like a heroic detective.
Yeah.
And then they changed him for this. And I read somewhere, I think it was on Wikipedia, that the Dread Baron is actually Dick Dastardly's twin brother. And that's why they look exactly the same.
That's kind of, wow. Oh my god, the more babies.
First words. Baby's first words are total fear.
Yes. And they will never trust anyone again.
Managed to get the egg back to the nest.
Such is life.
Also, it's kind of silly that if they're just big villains, Yogi should know who the hell they are in the universe.
He does know who they are, because the whole reason he has to make them prove that they're actually good guys is because supposedly they've had pre-existing connections to them. Possibly because supposedly I believe Dread Baron was part of the Yogis Olympics review, Yogis Olympics TV show.
Oh.
This joke is not just a reference to the previous Yogis Gang. It's actually a reference to my crossover with The Wire, where I pull up those exact same 3 DVDs.
Wow, in that order?
And because she's like, hey, and she's like, I guess that's supposed to Scooby being in this movie. And he had 3 of his own. Want to watch them? And she's like, no.
Yeah, I've actually seen all 3 of those movies you're holding up. Ghoul's School is actually one of my favorite from the 3 besides Reluctant and Werewolf.
Oh yeah, I like all 3 of those movies. Because frankly they're different from most of the Scooby-Doo stuff of the time.
Ghoul's School, you got like almost a full female cast and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. That and Dracula wasn't evil.
I just love that the Dead the Dark Idol had a very twirly steampunk mustache.
Supposedly how he's fooling these Mermaids into thinking that he is actually the person. I think he like puts a feather duster on his head just to look just like them.
I was wondering what he was wearing. It's just kind of silly.
Now, those different clips, they come from like slightly different sections in the movie, like an earlier segment and like one that's like 5-10 minutes later. We just combined it all together so that we could get all that exposition out of the way.
Yeah, but why is Quickdraw El Caban already? Because you never explained that part.
I believe he changed into the costume in an earlier segment in the movie. I think they're actually around the animals in the art section. That's when he started wearing that costume.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to be very careful with this segment because if he goes on too long enough, it cuts back to him again saying, and you to someone else.
Yeah, I just love the Zoidberg. Give me Zoidberg.
Yeah, I couldn't remember where that Zoidberg.
That comes.
I remember where that one was because I had to watch that episode to find that clip just to cut that segment out. But an alternate version of that is there's a different one from the episode for Nibbler's. I think it's Nibbler's birthday, where it's like, "Greetings, friends," and then Zoidberg goes, "Also Zoidberg." So I was stuck between using either "Also Zoidberg" or the one that I did use, the "And Me Zoidberg" from the Valentine's Day episode. I ended up using that one because it's the "And you and me Zoidberg," which plus the "Also Zoidberg" one cuts off too quickly because it cuts to a different character while he's still saying the rest of his name. So it didn't. So it worked better to use the "And Me" one just because it had him there for the entire time.
Yeah. Oh look.
Let's toss everything and the dog.
Yeah. So then he starts twirling his tail, and I tried to sync it up just to the point so that it starts tail spin right as he like really starts taking off.
I just love he tosses everything until he decided to toss the gold out. I'm surprised he doesn't push the kid out the door just to get to the gold. And he died.
It took like 5 attempts to get us to get it perfectly in sync.
No, and immediately once he did, I'm like, bring in a dancing sawmill.
And then I just felt like, no.
And it's only now they realize, hey, there's people in here.
Yep.
Now, if there's one thing I kind of didn't like about the editing for this part, is just this upcoming part right here it's just gonna cut off right here. We don't like any acknowledge that the movie's over or anything, which I do feel I could have rewritten that segment a little, just like say, okay, movie's over, we're done.
Yeah.
Instead of just fading to black. Plus, also I had to cut it off at a very specific point. Otherwise, it actually cuts to like, and then it goes into a different montage at the end of the movie before it actually goes into the ending credits.
Wow. So it somehow fades in montage and then end credits.
No, the fade you see, the fade to black at the end, that I put in myself just so that I could have a cutoff point for when we cut back to us. We're like, okay, we're basically done.
Yeah.
This part is the thing I really don't like. Although it's just we were filming for about an hour at this point. Finally, we get to the last segment, and my camera auto white balances right at the end, and and at that point we did not have time to refilm the video. So I have this one shot that was different. I tried to fix it in post, but it synced up and looked the same as the rest of the video. But when I did, that clip got corrupted and screwed up the rest of the video, so I couldn't even fix it, or else I wouldn't have a video to put out in the first place. So at that point, I was like, fine, we're just But when I put it up online, I put an annotation next to it that says, "Hello, camera auto white balance."
Yeah. The one thing surprising is that you can hold up live action Yogi Bear. Are you two ever gonna do it?
No. I've never watched that movie, and the only reason I own it is because of that.
Wow.
Because of me.
Because of Isaac.
Yeah, just for that one segment. Well, originally just for that one segment of me holding up, I'm like, I could have made you watch something worse.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch that movie.
Yeah.
But and since I did have it, I then used it later on for my crossover with Shay. Like,
Yeah.
why do I own you?
Maybe one day I'll get to it.
One day.
It'll be my punishment.
Well, that was Yogi Bear and the Magical Flight of the Spruce Goose from our last MagFest.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.